Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an insight. Episode 193. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnuhu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, we are almost at the close of the 31st chapter of Sri Sai SATCHARITRA. When Sri Sai Maharaj granted liberation to the tiger, one of the ardent devotees of Sri Sai Baba, by named Jyotindra Tarkad, was present there. After the tiger died, Jyotindra questioned Sri Sai thus: Baba, why did the tiger lower its eyes before it passed away? He raised this question mainly because the tiger, rather being saved by Sri Sai Maharaj, was allowed to die. So, he was curious to know what communication took place between Sri Sai and the tiger. Sri Sai Maharaj narrated that the tiger was indebted to the three dervishes. To clear its debts of these three, it served hard. Now it is deceased and has been enduring untold pain and discomforts. Hence, it requested me to relieve it from all these pains. I was extremely moved by heeding its plea. Hence, I beseeched Allah, and He accepted my appeal, and thus it was granted liberation, that is, free from the cycle of births and deaths. Sri Sai further added, there was still some debt to clear off, and on behalf of the tiger, I cleared its loan by paying the money to the dervishes. What a beautiful Leela this is, exhibiting the compassion of the Supreme Incarnation. Though there was still some karma to be annihilated by this jiva, which is in the body of the tiger, all merciful Lord Sadguru Sri Sai Baba took the burden of the tiger upon him and granted liberation to it, as it has completely surrendered its burden at the holy feet of Sri Sai Maharaj. These intrinsic details were shared by Sri Sai Baba with Jyotindra Tarkad. We can see a statue of tiger in Dwarakamai along with the statue of the horse. Some devotees are of the misconception that the samadhi of the tiger and the horse is inside Dwarakamai and the statues are built on top of their samadhi, which is not true. The samadhi of the tiger is in front of the Mahadev Mandir, whereas the samadhi of the horse is in Lendibag. Thus, Hemat Panji has illustrated the Leelas of Balaram Mankar, Megha, Tatya Sahib Nulkar and Tiger, who have passed away in the proximity of Sri Sai Maharaj and were granted liberation. Now let's move on to chapter 32. This is in continuation with the above topic. In this, Hemat Panji glorifies the greatness of the Guru and has titled the chapter as Narration of the Guru's Greatness. It consists of 174 Marathi OVs. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, is titled as Purushottama Yogam. In this, Lord Krishna makes a comparison of the material world to an upside down Ashwatha tree. and Hemat Panji begins this chapter narrating the same philosophy. Usually, the Vedic philosophy given as intro to the chapter will coincide with the Leelas narrated in that chapter. And in the later part of this chapter, Hemat Panji has mentioned the parable story narrated by Sri Sai Maharaj. Let me give a glimpse of it. Sri Sai asserts that his guru took him to a well and tied both his feet with a rope, then left him dangling upside down by tying the other end of the rope to a tree, which was on the side of the well. What does this signify? We can listen to that in the later part of this chapter. The narration is highly philosophical and throws insights on this parable story of Sri Sai Baba. Hemat Panji explains the world by the allegory of the banyan tree, which has roots above and branches below. He says the formless Brahman, that is, the God, assumes a form and along with Maya, using Ajnana as a seed, creates banyan tree, that is this world. So, this world has Maya and Brahman as its parents. Now, he is describing the parts of the tree. The branches of this worldly tree are the male and female form in all the jivas. Then, the desires, aspirations and interests are compared to the surrounding area round the roots which irrigates the tree like water and make the tree appear attractive from a distance. But when we get closer to it to embrace it, it is prickly all over. The term used by Hemat Panji to describe the beauty of the tree is Ramaniyam, that is, something which is extraordinarily beautiful, becomes dear to your heart, draws you closer, makes one lose himself to its beauty. But if a person will go closer to it, then all that he get to experience is the pricky nature of the tree. This is a simile used by Hemat Panji to compare it with the worldly life. He says it's like a mirage, looks like the city of palaces from far, very magnificent as it is surrounded with desires. But when approached, one had to face the consequences. So, this tree with strong roots had to be cut with a sharp weapon of non-attachment. Then one can seek the path beyond, which is the ultimate goal of life. This introduction of Hemat Panji in Marathi OVs is not a new subject, as this has been already propounded in the first 3 slokas of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The author has quoted all these commentaries of the slokas because they are connected to the parable story that has been narrated by Sri Sai Baba in this chapter. Finally, this narration is closed by Hemat Panji with a note that the Guru's grace can only help us to cut down this tree of desires using non-attachment as a weapon. In spiritual world, greater importance is given to this Ashwatha tree. The nature of this tree is ever changing. What you saw yesterday is not today. Other trees would grow in height, whereas Ashwatha tree will expand in width. To denote this in Tamil, it was named as Agal, that is the contraction of the term Agalam. As years passed by, this term got distorted and came to be known as Al or Alamaram. There is a famous proverb in Tamil which says, Al pol thalaithu, arugu pol verundri, மூங்கில் போல் சுற்றம் சூழ்ந்து வாழையடி வாழையென 16 பெற்று பெருவாழ்வு வாழ்க. This old saying is usually said at the time of blessing the newly married couple. Devotees, I am not going to go in detail of the similes or explanation of the remaining part of this proverb, but will say what is relevant for the banyan tree. It means as the all flourishes and expands moment to moment, similarly you should grow in all spheres of your life. When compared to the materialistic world, it means the activities of this world expands and grows at a very rapid speed, just like the growth and expansion of the banyan tree. Now, let's heed to the spiritual significance of this tree related to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva took the form of Dakshinamurti and sat under the stone banyan tree facing the south direction to impart wisdom through silence to the four great scholars Sanakadi Munis. The poetic verses in Tamil of this commentary is Kallalin புடையமர்ந்து நான்மறையார் அங்கமுதற் கற்ற கேள்வி வல்லார்கனால் நால்வருக்கும் வாக்கிறந்த பூரணமாய் மறைக்கப்பாலாய் எல்லாமையல்ல துமாயிருந்ததனை இருந்தபடி இருந்த காட்டி சொல்லாமங்கர் சொன்னவரை நினையாம நினைந்து பவத் தொடக்கை வெல்வாம். The stoned banyan tree is used as a simile to the worldly affairs. Let's see the connection with Lord Krishna. It is believed that during the Kurukshetra war, the banyan tree was kept as a witness while Lord Krishna imparted knowledge to Arjuna. In the state of Haryana, there is a region named Jodsar and a place called Kurukshetra is situated there. This is where the holy Bhagavad Gita was imparted by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. At this spot, a huge banyan tree is found. It is almost 5,000 years old. Even today, when devotees visit this place, they can see a board which says that this banyan tree stood as a witness to the wisdom imparted by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. The first sloka of the chapter 15, titled as Purushottam Yoga, starts Urdhva Moola Madakshakam Ashvatam Prahayuravyayaham Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. Commentary. The wise people speak of the indestructible peepal tree as having roots above and branches below, whose leaves are the Vedas. He who knows it is alone the Veda knower. Devotees, please heed to this with complete attention. Lord Krishna says the wise people believe that the peepal tree is indestructible, whereas Hemat Panji in his narration says that the tree had to be cut using the weapon of detachment. Both these commentaries are contradicting to each other. But look at it carefully. Lord Krishna is not declaring that it is indestructible, but he says wise believe that the tree is indestructible. To get more light on this topic, let's analyze the meaning of the Sanskrit term Ashvata, that is Alamaram in Tamil. Ashvata, when the syllables are separated as A, Swas, Ita, here the term Swa means tomorrow and Ita denotes permanent, and A, the first syllable, means the opposite of. So, the meaning of Ashvata is something that is impermanent, or it will not remain the same tomorrow. The reason is it keeps growing or expanding. Swami Sri Chinmayananda elucidates more details on the name of this tree. He said, some writers say Ashvatam means horse. As many horses were tied under the shade of this tree, it got the name Ashvata, which is a wrong conception because horses will be tied under any tree, he says. Hence, this perception of the writers is not correct. Likewise, Anandagiri Swamigal wrote commentary for Shankara Bhashyam. He elucidates the meaning of the Sanskrit term vriksha, that is tree, as something which had to be chopped off. For instance, our body is known as shariram, which means something that is prone to lean. So, Hemat Panji has used this allegory to describe that the worldly attachments must be chopped off using detachment as a weapon. It is worth recalling 196th Sri Sai Sahasranamavali authored by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji related to this context. It says, Om Sri Sai Urdhva Moola Ada Shakam Ashvatam Bhashmas Adkaraya Namaha, which means salutations to the accomplished yogi who knows the world is like transient people tree. The language command of Narasimha Swamiji is exceptional. Instead of saying that Sri Sai Maharaj would chop off this worldly tree whose roots are above and branches below, he says Sri Sai Baba would turn that tree into ashes. Sai philosophers appreciate the astounding explanation of Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji and says even if the tree will be chopped, there is a chance of it to sprout again. But to not give it any chance to grow again, Narasimha Swamiji illuminates that Sri Sai Maharaj will burn it down to ashes. Devotees might wonder, so where can one see this kind of people tree whose roots are above and branches below? Is it just an allegory used by Lord Krishna? Swami Chinmayananda answers to this question. He says, when you stand on the banks of the pond, you can see the reflection of the people tree in the water. There you can see the upside down form of the people tree. Between the real tree and its reflection is the Brahman, and he has created 180 degrees of the angle, the spiritual world, and the remaining 180 degrees is the materialistic world. So, when this tree is chopped off using detachment as a weapon, you can traverse beyond it and reach the ultimate goal of life, that is, reaching the Brahman. The ultimate gist of all this narration is the Guru's grace alone will help you to traverse this path that will make you attain liberation. The parable story that we will be hearing in the coming episode is also going to emphasize on the same thought. These instances are just an introduction to the story narrated by Sri Sai Maharaj. The kernel of this chapter will be the philosophical significance expounded by Sri Sai Baba through this parable story, which we shall listen in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.